Hello, welcome back to The Good, the Bad and the Stupid. It's Tuesday the 24th of September. It's the first video and podcast back since I was away the weekend. I did say I was going to do one on Monday, but I gave it a miss after I got back knackered after a long day, which started with me missing my Channel Tunnel crossing at 7 o'clock yesterday morning. So self-inflicted, but yeah, missed it by 10 minutes. I had to wait hours at the terminal building waiting for the next available time spot. So by the time I got back, I decided to give the podcast a miss because I was too busy moaning and feeling sorry for myself. But anyway, I had a good time. Went to Bruges. Had a great time. Thanks for asking. Yeah, it was lovely. Just as nice as people have told me. It was the cleanest city I think I've ever been to. There's definitely a few places in England that could take a leaf out of their book, that's for sure. Expensive though, the pound was shit against the euro, so it was really expensive. Spent a lot more money than I thought I would in 3 days. But I was there on holiday, I was there to spend money, and I was there to get involved. So yeah, I had a great time. But what was it? I missed all the bloody Rugby World Cup games because it was all on in the weird times in the morning, weren't they? And I was busy, I had plans. So unfortunately, I've got to try and catch up on the what's going on. But I went to one of the games last year. I went to the South Africa-Japan game at the Brighton Stadium. And I missed the first half. See the pattern here? I missed the first half of the game because I was running late and I Googled what time does the South Africa kick off against Japan. It told me 5 o'clock, right? So I thought, fucking hell, I've got more time than I thought I had. So I got down to the game at 5 o'clock and I'd missed the first half, and the second half had already started, and then the guy wouldn't let me in because he said nobody can come in after the second half has started. I was like, how the fuck has this happened? And what happened was my Google had given me the time South Africa was kicking off in South Africa time because they're an hour different. So I obviously got there an hour late. Anyway, this Jobsworth wouldn't let me in. So after 10 minutes arguing with him, I walked around to one of the other doors after speaking to my mate, and these people let me in. They obviously was like, yeah, of course you can, you got a ticket. So then what the fuck this guy's problem was. So I got in and watched the last 2/3 of the second half. So I was there with my little Japanese flag, and for what I saw of it, I had a great time anyway. But I've been looking forward to this World Cup, so I shall be making sure I don't miss any of the action at this point going forward. So what's been happening in the news? Donald Trump has rubber stamped his narcissism by saying he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize, or he would be awarded it had it been given out fairly. He's obviously he thinks he deserves it because Obama got it, didn't he? I don't even know. I think Obama deserved it, to be fair. He didn't do anything to deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. And Donald Trump definitely doesn't. I mean, what's he done other than just not go to war yet? You got to do something for humanity to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. So I don't think you qualify quite yet, Donald Trump. But here's an interesting fact for you. Hitler was once nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, but he didn't know that. He did, but it's before the Second World War. Otherwise, you'd be fucking choking on your food if you heard that. And it was after the Second World War or during. But yeah, he was on it, but it was for a joke. Apparently, it was. I don't know what kind of a joke it was, but it's not very funny. But it was. He was awarded as a joke. So check out the facts. I'm not lying. And another joke, if you want to, I'm going to use that as a segue. Boris Johnson has been deemed, his proroguing of Parliament's been deemed illegal by the Supreme Court. So it's a good job some people have got some money to take these things through the courts, wouldn't they? Nobody else would have would be able to afford to even bother pursuing this that line of, take it all the way through the courts and that. But anyway, he's been deemed that he prorogued illegally, so the Parliament's going to go back. It's crazy. Other countries must be just watching going, what is going on in England, It's fucking crazy. It's almost like it's a farce, isn't it? But it's definitely a page turner, or whatever you want to say. It's interesting, let's say that. But I can imagine, because if it was illegal what he did. That means he lied to the Queen. So that's what they're saying now. So I wonder what the Queen feels about that. I wonder if when she heard, she was like, Philip, did you, he's watching the TV, he said, did you hear this? He said, that fucking fat bastard lied to me. After all that fucking bullshit, he actually lied to me. And now he's thinking about ways to prorogue Parliament again. So he's going to have to go in front of her again and ask her for her to prorogue. So she'll probably tell him to fuck off next time, I imagine. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with next in that saga. They're asking him to resign, but I'm sure he won't. The guy who should have resigned, who didn't, was Thomas Cook. Have gone bust. Everybody knows this by now, I'm sure. I suppose a few people have got holidays or had holidays. They have got no holidays no more. But the guy with the money at the top didn't resign, and he's got fucking 8.3 million bonus in his back pocket, while all the staff and all the crew and all the people suffer. 160,000 Brits abroad, and they're being told that they can get some. The government's trying to get them back, but they've got to cut their holiday short because the government is just going to say there's a plane there on that day. You've all going to have to jump on it. So that is a real shitter. That is for all the people that are going to be suffered from that. But one guy that is going to be suffering is a guy called, wait for it, Thomas Cook. He's he's a groom, and he's on holiday, and he's basically he's on holiday with Thomas Cook, and what's he say? Thomas Cook promised him his honeymoon's or his holiday's been ruined because none of his guests can get out there, and he's going to have to go home unless he wants to pay extortionate rates to get home because all the other airlines are taking the piss and ramping their prices up. He's going to have to cut his holiday short, and nobody can go to his wedding. But anyway, he said Thomas Cook promised him a surprise on his wedding day because his name was the same as theirs, and he said that wasn't the surprise that he was expecting. So I'm not laughing. I just think it's fucking. I'm bewildered. That's why I'm giggling. But he's like fucking saying that they promised him some kind of surprise for his wedding day, and fucking hell, he got it, didn't he? So that's a shame for all those people. I'm glad I've not got. Any holidays booked with them because I nearly did. So all these people are having to pay thousands now to get home. Anyway, so let's move on to dairy. I talked about the dairy robbery the other day. Some people running off with 3 bottles of milk. There's another guy, mystery milk thief. He's targeting schools and he's swiped over 1,000 kids' cartons in 4 months, and he's been jumping over the fence of a school, nicking all the milk. So. Is milk the new fucking currency these days on the streets? Because it's not even the first or second time. There's other ones I haven't even spoke about, but people seem to be robbing the milk. So if you're having the milkman's back in town, so if you're having milk delivered to your door, don't expect it to be on the doorstep after the milkman's left it, because people are out nicking it. I don't know, or you can buy it off the black market. Maybe there's a lot of milk on the black market. After Brexit, that's probably the shit that's going to be. It's going to be, and it's going to be black market for bread and milk and rations and all that kind of shit. If we get down to pans, so we'll have to get used to this. The milk thieves, because that is going to be fucking, like in prison where they buy things with cigarettes and buy with matches because they haven't got any money. That could be what it's going to. That's a dire version of what it's going to be like on the streets. Kickboxing granny, Britain's oldest female kickboxer, is in training for her first official fight. She's at the age of 76. Who's she going to fight? Someone of her own age. You normally get paired up with somebody of your own age. So I think there's a heart attack to fucking waiting to happen there, isn't there? Gran of 3, Jean Baldwin, is known as the Beast. Despite suffering arthritis and having both her knees replaced, she must be fucking. She took up the combat sport after her husband died in 2003, and her son suggested I take up the sport. And she saw these people kickboxing. I thought, why not give it a try? So there you go. I wouldn't even want to, because you might be pairing her up with just somebody with the same weight. So imagine if you're like 23 and you're getting put in with a 76-year-old. You're going to feel pretty guilty if. if you knock her out, or or kill her, should I say? But equally, you're going to feel pretty stupid if she knocks you out or fucking kills you or takes you down. So anyway, good luck to her. Many, if you're still alive, you can do whatever the fuck you like, can't you? So I think enjoy it and do whatever you want. Much better than sitting in the house knitting, isn't it? In fact, the world must be going upside down because there's loads of young people getting into knitting. There was a knitting festival on the other week for a lot of young people. They're all meeting up and teaching each other how to bloody different types of knitting. So I'd rather be a kickboxing granny than a knitting teenager. What's this? A superstar tenor, opera singer, who joked he was a sex addict, has been axed after being accused of groping somebody on stage. His self-confessed sex addict, Vittorio Gregola, named and shamed Vittorio, is said to have grabbed the female member of the chorus in full view of the audience. So it doesn't say how he grabbed her, but anyway, he's been sacked. So he should have just... He's the bloody lead singer of the opera, for God's sake. He's got women probably falling over him. So he's done a Jimmy Savile there, hasn't he? You know, when Jimmy Savile was groping girls on the top of the pops and shit, and they couldn't say anything while the cameras are filming. He's just too big for your boots, and you've lost out there, I'm afraid. So probably not too many women going to be jumping all over you while you're out of work. So yeah, let's move on to nuts. Eating a handful of walnuts a day instead of snacks such as crisps prevents piling on the pounds. A major study found it would be a simple way to ward off obesity. Well, it depends on how many. Yeah, well, of course it would. If you eat a handful of nuts versus eating 10 bags of crisps, of course it's going to be that way. But a lot of people don't. People who sit in eating chocolate and crisps and that, they don't want to swap it for walnuts, do they? So you need to change your mentality, really. But yeah, diet. Change your diet. Doesn't have to be walnuts. Could be you could be munching on what's it called? Muesli bars or something else or other. Just fucking cut out the shit and the fat and the chocolate. But also you got to exercise. But people are stuck at their desk, aren't they? And it's boring. I remember when I was stuck at a desk and I used to just eat shit all day long just for something to do other than work. So you have to give people better jobs to do. Maybe you'll start getting fitter when the new 4-day work week comes in, because if this Boris Johnson government gets booted out, John McDonnell for Labour has said that we're going to be on a 4-day work week. So fucking, that is just a policy winner. Like the 4 days of extra bank holidays, 4-day work week. Who's not going to go for that? Apart from all the bosses and the money men who are making all the money at the top, surely all the workers are going to go, fucking count me in for that. My vote's with you. Because I'm sure you're going to be able to do overtime. But if you don't want to, you can just piss off. Imagine that every Friday off. So that means you're not going to... Your Friday then move to Thursday. So Thursday you'll only do half a day's worth of work. And a half a day you won't do fuck all, as you do on a Friday. And then you got the whole long weekend. So tell you what, things are looking good. You might not have any money because Brexit, and you'll be living off fucking stolen milk and, you know, mouldy bread and whatever. But at least you'll only have to go to work 4 days a week. They might even have to increase the hours, 15-hour days or some shit. Fuck knows how that one's going to work out. But looks, sounds good on paper. What is it? Liam Gallagher's back. I saw Liam Gallagher's new song today. That One of Us, is it? It was touching song. He's done a song. The video is kind of the songs he's singing to his brother, isn't he? To Noel, and he's obviously doing what's it called, an olive branch to sort of make amends because they haven't spoke to each other for so long. Anyway, a moving song. I thought it was quite good, to be fair. And he's got a thing here in the paper about he's come out and said something about knife thugs should take some magic mushrooms, put down the knives and take some magic mushrooms, and that'll fucking chill you out rather than go around stabbing each other. And they've basically said that he's got some wacky things that he's said in the past, and I'd say, well, that's not actually a bad fucking suggestion. Do anything other than pick up a knife, you know. Go out and have a good time, get fucking high, go to a rave or something. Stop with all the tense shit on the streets, you know what I mean? Running around with nothing to do. But the thing is, they can't get into clubs, can they? They need to do the mushrooms on the streets anyway, so they'll end up fucking tripping out and stabbing each other on mushrooms because they're having a bad trip anyway. So anyway, Liam Gallagher's got some sayings, what he said in the past here, and there's some funny ones I've just circled, which some quotes, if you like, and one of them was, on the England football team, he said, my grandmother would do better on acid with a Toblerone stuck up her arse. And that's pretty much a good analogy of the English football team of the past. That was a long time ago, I'm sure. They've improved a bit since then. Maybe they're just as bad as her without the Toblerone up their arse at the moment. Up her arse. On hair, he said, there's no place for baldness in rock and roll. That's quite funny. So, and that's probably true as well, isn't it? You can't really get involved with a fucking bald rocker, can you? Like Phil Collins, you can't really take him seriously, can you? He's got no hair. Elton John, he had to have his hair implanted back into his head for anybody to take him seriously. What's this one? I'm not thinking about getting any messages across because I don't even know what the fucking message is himself. So there you go. That's basically, he's not trying to be trying to be too clever with his music like some fuckers do, or some people do. Some people who are trying to get a message across, you don't know what they're trying to say anyway, do they? They think they're being clever. What was it? Cardi B, was it? Oh, who was it who said... what was it she said? What did she say? What did she say? What did she say? I can't remember. I'll have to come back to it. I'm going to be stuck on that. If I wasn't a musician, I don't know, I'd be God maybe. That would be a good job. So there you go. That's looking for promotion there to God level. But yeah, anyway, that's some quotes from Liam Gallagher. His new song come out and it's pretty good, so have a listen. What's news? Sex addiction is quite, I say popular. Of course, it's popular. It's popular for sex addicts anyway. But there's a thing here about sex addiction. I just thought this was bullshit because they're not saying who the woman is. They've changed the name, but she's going on about her addiction to sex, and she's saying, what is it? It's what's she saying? It may sound like a typical one-night stand, except this is a Monday morning, and the man I just bedded is an important client. So 15 minutes earlier, I turned up at his house looking every inch the respectable estate agent, wearing a pinstripe suit and high heels. I hoped to impress Mr. Lawson so I could look after the sale of his property. For 5 minutes in, we were together on the kitchen floor. Mr. Lawson, who is old enough to be my father, fiddles about with his wedding ring as he mutters about how we will get in touch after our encounter. Further down, she says, my addiction affects every aspect of my life, even at work. I'm not safe. Having keys to a vacant properties means I always have somewhere to take my sexual partners. My long-term boyfriend has no idea about my double life. He is a good man from a religious family. Sounds to me like you can't hide it from fucking anybody the way that you're jumping on people. So I can't imagine that your boyfriend hasn't clocked onto it. He's a good man from a religious family. Trust is everything to him, and the truth would kill him. And then further down she says, the next minute I was in, this is from another story, one time I popped into the supermarket on my lunch break to pick up a sandwich. I started chatting with a good looking worker who was stacking the shelves. The next minute I was in the stock room with my knickers around my ankles. I tell you what, I've never fucking had had an experience thrown at me like that. I went back to work with my tights ripped and my lipstick smeared all over my face. I looked such a state that my colleagues thought I'd been mugged, and a boss sent her home early. As soon as I got in, I had to have a shower to wash away my sins. I'm being funny, but all that sounds like bullshit to me. But I'm sure that situation does occur with certain people, but just the way, it just seems a bit contrived, doesn't it? Having to have had the boyfriend in there and all that kind of stuff, and how it happens to have found its way into the newspaper. But anyway, if you are a sex addict, then I'm sure there's plenty of people out there looking to help you out with your addictions, or to give you some kind of counselling. She was also talking about she shagged the counselling as well further on down the line. So anyway, nice girl. She's the kind of girl lots of blokes who are struggling to pull on a night out would fucking love to bump into, I'm sure. What's his Carl Froch has come out. Carl Froch, the boxer, has come out and said that he believes that the Earth's flat. So I don't know what anybody else thinks about that. That's for you and him to discuss, because I'm not going to tell him he's talking shit, even though I don't believe it one little bit. He said that the Earth is flat, 100%. There's no proof of the Earth's curvature, and that's fake. This fake space agency, NASA, use CGI images, and everyone is different. He said he's looking at it thinking, hang on a minute, they're like cartoons. Well, for starters, CGI has only been around a few years, so how can all the images from years ago be CGI images, Carl? Anyway, he's saying that the Earth's flat, and I don't believe it. So if somebody wants to tell him, make sure you've got a padded hat on, because he's likely to get a bit angry when he's calling when he's telling him he's talking shit. What I'm going to say, yeah, they're mad, aren't they? I think Freddie Flintoff and a few others are starting to believe in this flat Earth thing. So I don't think I want to go and listen to any of that information in case it starts fucking brainwashing me as well. If I'm wrong, prove me wrong. But I'm sure it's going to be a long time before anybody can, or you're going to have to come up with some pretty convincing evidence, and it ain't out there yet. That's for sure. What have we got? I'm going to finish off on a couple of last little things here. A driver angered by a huge unrepaired pothole on a main road painted a 20-foot willy around it. And that's a really good idea. I'll tell you what, potholes are a bane of my life, because I slammed into a pothole once miles away. I come off the motorway, pulled into the road where I was parking, and someone stopped me, knocked on my window and said, knocked on my window and said, have you seen your wheel? And I looked under the wheel, and there was the side of my wheel was a big bulbous balloon like that, where it slammed the pothole, fucked the tyre up, and the tyre was like this big ball waiting to explode, literally, and then it exploded, the tyre, about fucking 5 minutes down the road where I actually parked, where I drove slowly to the parking spot. So if that had happened on the motorway, I wouldn't be here giving you these great podcasts, that's for sure. So anyway, I'm all for these people drawing dicks around potholes. He thought that he would get somebody would come out and repair it, but unfortunately they've just gone and scrubbed the dick away and left the pothole. So what can you do? So anyway, maybe we should do this in force. Everybody get yourself a spray can and get yourself some art classes on how to draw the best and most offensive penises that we can, and then we'll go and do it. Remember, we all used to love doing this in our school books, didn't we? So get out there, draw penises on the potholes, and hopefully that'll get the roads fixed, and not fucking going into politicians' back pockets and councillors' back pockets. I'm going to finish off on this last thing. Joey and Chandler's TV best friend relationship has been named the best bromance, the best on-screen friendship of all time. The relationship of Matt LeBlanc and Matthew Perry's characters was voted most memorable in TV and film. So they got number one. Monica and Rachel number two. Harry Potter and Ron Weasley. Woody and Buzz from Toy Story. Sex and the City Girls. Starsky and Hutch being number 10. I tell you what, where the fuck is Lauren and Hardy on that? I'm sorry, but the number one TV or the number one memorable TV relationship, friendship relationship is Lauren and Hardy, and a lot more other than the ones that are on that list. But if anything, who else can I say? Lauren and Hardy. No, that's it. Lauren and Hardy. That's it. Also, I'm going to say Jerry and Chandler can be second, but Lauren and Hardy are not even on the list. So I don't know who they've been asking. How Harry Potter got on there, I don't know. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there because I'm still tired from the weekend, but I decided I'm going to get back into it today. So hopefully you've enjoyed the podcast. Going to be at it again tomorrow where I'll be talking a little bit more sense. So see you again then. Bye.